Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, party leaders say they're about to amp up campaigns, but they'll respect religious holidays. An independent poll shows voters split on the FNM and the PLP. We'll tell you how to make sure you've got a healthy colon. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Paige Ferguson, and MB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to MB12. Catchy political ads, constituency office openings, and street meetings were just the beginning of political parties' efforts to secure votes. The Free National Movement, Progressive Liberal Party, and Democratic National Alliance plan to shut down their campaigns during Holy Week and Easter week. But after that, party leaders say they're kicking up their campaigns into high gear. Here's Vonnie Toot.
Now that the business of the House of Assembly has been suspended to May 22nd, leaders of the major political parties have more time to focus on their respective campaigns. The Free National Movement will continue to open constituency offices throughout New Providence and the Family Islands. However, leaders of the Progressive Liberal Party say they're upping the ante. The opposition expects thousands of supporters to gather here on R. Bailey Park tomorrow for its first major rally.
Friday night at R. Bailey Park, we're making the jump to now a big site, and we hope to do so in Grand Bahama the following night. And then we will rest ourselves for the sprint that will begin on Easter Monday.
So following that, no more constituency officer, the big rounds.
It's going to be the big league then.
Public Relations Officer for the Democratic National Alliance, Kashan Poitier, told NB12 the third party will stick with the term street meeting. She says the party, which is nearly 1 year old, will hold its first major street meeting in Carmichael tonight. All three parties plan to suspend their political events during Holy Week. Earlier this month, Rector of St. Gregory's Anglican Church, Father Sebastian Campbell, condemned politicians for hosting political events during Lent, arguing that it is a period when Christians are supposed to unite and grow spiritually. Prime Minister Hewitt Ingram says his party respects Christian traditions.
We're not going to do what they did. They dissolved the House Holy Thursday. We're going to respect the religious traditions of the Catholics and the Anglicans. We will have no election activity during Holy Week other than our ads will continue to run until Wednesday. They will all come down on Wednesday evening. Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday will be observed totally. We will have no political meetings whatsoever during Holy Week.
We're going to shut down on Saturday evening. We hope to do so in a very spectacular fashion.
After that, party leaders plan to kick their campaigns into high gear.
After Easter, we'll begin.
They definitely will continue to ring the bell for the Prime Minister. He was doing it again last night in Ragged Island and in Exuma. But we expect the Prime Minister to ring the bell. It's imminent. And the one thing we know, we are very, very, very prepared for the road ahead. And we think it's going to be a sprint.
As the political parties continue to spread their messages, voters can't help but wonder when they'll get to mark their acts. Well, the Prime Minister says we'll know by May 2nd. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonnie Toot.
Well, after seeing the Nassau Guardian's top story this morning, political parties now have a better idea of how effective their campaigns have been. Juan McCartney breaks down a new poll on where the parties stand as the election nears.
A poll conducted by independent research firm Public Domain for the Nassau Guardian shows that the FNM and the PLP are in a statistical dead heat as far as voters are concerned, with the DNA trailing significantly. But when we examine the numbers in the poll, we get to learn a lot more about how the next general election is shaping up. Asked who they would vote for if an election was held today, 30.5% of respondents said they would vote for the FNM. 23.7% said the PLP, 16.5% said DNA. 1.6% said they would vote for other parties or candidates, and 12.2% said they were undecided. Another 3.7% were classified as F&M leaners, another 6.6% as PLP leaners, and another 5.2% as DNA leaners. The F&M, therefore, got 34.2% of the total support, the PLP got 30.3% of total support, and the DNA got 21.7% of total support. Public Domain contacted 501 respondents in a telephone survey between March 5th and March 12th. That kind of sample size has a maximum margin of error of 4.4%, according to Public Domain President Mwale Ramming, who also told NB12 what the results really tell us.
Well, we're seeing that the F&M is holding strong. They have about the same support that they've had over the last 3 months or so. And we're seeing that the PLP is gaining in numbers, and they're taking away from the DNA.
At his Sandyport offices, where random polling takes place, Ramming said based on the scientific data, it's clear that the majority of the electorate doesn't support the governing party, but no other party is leading the F&M. He had this advice for the three major players, beginning with the F&M.
Listen, it's a very, very close election. People want to know what's going to be different. People are unhappy now, and like I said, it could be the economy, and we know the economy costs us jobs, but they want to know what's going to be different, and they're looking to find out who they should vote for, and it's your opportunity to tell them, and to tell them why they should vote for you. The opposition strategy would be, it's important for us to, if they were saying it's important for us to win, and to win we'd have to collect as much anti-government vote as possible, and in order to do that we have to figure out a way to take from the DNA, and take from the DNA. Nobody's vote is owned by anybody, but if they could sway DNA supporters back to them and let them know, listen, we could actually form a government if you sway back to us, and we could change things and make it different, because obviously that's what the people are saying, they want something different. That's what they should try to do. The DNA chances, realistically, we've seen their number go down significantly. I think they have a hardcore base of people who want change. We'll see what number that is as we get closer to election. My feeling from these numbers is it's not realistic to assume you're going to win. But if you stick around this election, and even if you don't win, you can be a credible party next election, and people will say you've been there, they've seen you, and they've seen you go through an election and lose, and now next time maybe it'll be time for you to go through an election and win.
Ramming, whose firm conducts market research for a wide array of companies and tracks social issues, stressed that while the poll commissioned by the Nassau Guardian can tell the general mood of the overall electorate, things get more complex when you look at individual constituencies.
Because this poll is not a constituency poll, so I'm not telling you somebody's going to win in Fox Hill, or somebody's going to win in Southern Shores, or somebody's going to win in Tall Pines. I'm telling you the mood of the public in general. I'm sure that within these constituencies there's going to be variations, but the general feeling is that it's really too close to call, and there is no major dominating party right now. And it'll be interesting to see these numbers as we get closer, and see who goes back to who sways away from who, and who's able to run the best campaign. And by best campaign I mean inform the people of why they should vote for that particular party.
Of course, you can read the details of this poll in today's Nassau Guardian, or check it out at thenassauguardian.com. Reporting for NB12, I'm Juan McCartney.
In other news tonight, in 2011, the tragic death of 11-year-old Marco Archer captured hearts and headlines in the country. It raised awareness about the sexual abuse of children and ushered in a call for a national sex offenders registry. According to the Department of Social Services, all forms of reported abuse against children have been increased since 2010, but officials say more attention needs to be given to the consequences offenders face. Christina McNeil has more.
In 2010, 499 cases of child abuse were reported in the country. While that's down from the 680 reported in 2009, it's also far less than the 636 reported in 2011. But according to Director of the Crisis Center, Dr. Sandra Dean Patterson, that may actually be good news in the fight against child abuse. Officials admit that the 636 reported cases in 2011 do not take into account the cases that go undetected and unreported. According to the Department of Social Services, the increase in reported cases may be due to experimentation among youngsters, statutory rape, or commercial sex abuse. Dr. Patterson explains that although all forms of abuse have seen an increase, it also signals that Bahamians are becoming more aware of what is considered abuse and more willing to report alleged such cases.
I truly think that we have done so much work in conscientizing and putting support systems in place for our children that now people do come forward. What we also need to see, though, is consequences for people who abuse. And I think we've fallen behind on that. I think there's lots of things we need to do with regard to our system to make people more accountable and to offer intervention for persons who end up in prison, so that they get some help and they don't come out and do it again.
Dr. Patterson says consequences are key to enforcing the laws that protect children. She says offenders need to know that they will be dealt with swiftly and justly.
I think our laws, we have good laws. I think we just have a system that's very slow, it's very overloaded, and so many times things don't reach the court system promptly, and often if you have to wait a long time and you have somebody who's experienced abuse, your memory may not be, you may be, there's so many issues that go into that I think that's the area that we now need to focus in on.
To increase awareness in the country, the Department of Social Services is hosting a national conference on child abuse. Topics are designed to help Bahamians understand the law and sexual abuse, get behind the mask of a child rapist, touch on the sexual offenders registry, and discuss juvenile sex offenders as well as sibling abuse. The Department of Social Services is calling on anyone who knows or suspects that a child is being abused to report it to the department or the police. Reporting is mandated by the Child Protection Act of 2007, which also indicates that any person who suspects abuse and does not report it can be fined $5,000 or sentenced to up to 1 year in prison. Reports can be made via the national hotline at 322-2763 or 422-2763. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.